Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Laurie Knerr, and I'm going to give the message today. I just wanted to say how grateful I am. This has been just an amazing service so far. Everything seems to flow really well together, and it's a foggy, misty day, like Janet said, but it's the last day of February. And I'm going to talk about my topic actually is Mud to Lotus, Darkness into Light, and Blossoming into the World. I'm going to open with a free verse poem that I wrote on the January full moon. I'm a creative writer. I'm not a poet per se, but it's a free verse poem. And I thought it would be a good way to open. And we've already had such beautiful poetry, but so I'll get started, and the name of it is Lotus Light. Lotus rising out of its silent shadow, meeting sunrise glimmer, blossoming and opening into divine nature's light. Oh glory, oh joy. Lotus knowing that the surrounding darkness and mud may become deep, pulling and sinking during its lifetime, but remembers the coming of a new dawn. Through the sacred circle, the seasons, and the lessons of a soul's journey, spinning and weaving and evolving into a rich tapestry, that is life, along with the blessings that are often cloaked in unwanted disguises. The penetrating and pelting storms and struggles are carried away on the winds of grace. And the bruised lotus petals, they'll drop off, becoming fading memories. And they float away to a more hopeful path in the crystal clear, sparkling waters. The resurrected seed pods patiently are waiting to be reborn into a place of mystery. And at the perfect moment, an inspired fresh bud rises out of the dark and murky water. It's carrying its little soul fire. It faces upwards, reaching for the sun's brilliant healing energy. And the radiate petals open wide, nurturing the divine flame lying deep and still within, blooming in awe and wonder. And they transforming along with the other universal lights through incarnations on the way to enlightenment, striving to be light unto the world. Its heart space holds tightly to the sweet soul remembering that nothing will ever dim lotus light, because the flame is here to stay where it's been forever, and all will be well. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about our Interfaith Center. I mean, it's all about the lotus here. It is just a beautiful place. In fact, it was one of the things that drew me here. I've loved lotus flowers since I was a child. So it's just gorgeous here. And we'll be back here again, and we have such history and beauty. And I've got a slide that maybe Layla can put up, slide 4. We have a couple slides of the center. And we have our prayer book that it is, everybody pretty much knows it, but it's Songs for the Heart to Sing. And I'll hold this up. You probably will be able to see it, but it's about our logo. And the flame represents the most important aspect of our common spirituality, the energy that brings us all together. And, the lotus is in the world's spiritual traditions, and it shines a light and enlightens and illuminates. And the light is mysterious and unknown, and that's our candle. And the lotus seed, it can blossom as long as 200 years after shedding. making it a symbol of immortality and resurrection, and reflects the belief that enlightenment is unlimited and timeless. And again, they go with our motto of the Interfaith Center, be a light unto the world. And it reflects our goal, our spiritual growth, and collectively bringing light to the darkness. And there is a lot about the Lotus, and most of you know I'm kind of a research person, so I'm not going to get in the weeds today. I'm going to give you some takeaways that hopefully will help us move forward, and not in another time for the research and the plant phyla and everything else. We'll do that maybe another time. And so the whole piece of this is that the symbolic meaning, the lotus flower is a universal flower, and it's mostly connected with the spiritual growth and resilience. And that's basically what I'm going to speak on today, of that aspect. I mean, enlightenment, but resilience. And it is connected, obviously, with all the Eastern traditions and religions. The Egyptians feel like it was bloomed by the day, closed at night, so it was the rebirth of the sun. And Hindus always have like a Buddha sitting on a lotus, or on a lotus flower, or on a petal. And it's just about attaining spiritual enlightenment. And the interesting thing about Buddha, though, according to legend, is that he always sat. You always see him pictured like up in the front here, that he was always sitting. But when he stood, he could walk immediately, and everywhere he walked, a lotus flower would bloom. And that was part of his legend. The Vietnamese are really, I know this from California, are really into the lotus, and they find it purity, commitment, and optimism for the future. And, you know, I have a pod in the front, a real lotus pod, and I got these little seeds. These little seeds, I've actually never planted them, but I'm going to try this year, and they grow in backyards and ponds and rivers, and I think these are beautiful for flower arranging. I mean, you can fill them with crystals; they're gorgeous. But the lotus pod, and there is a slide on that. If Layla put it up about the life cycle, it shows the bud and it goes through everything, and so basically what I wanted to talk about today, and besides any of this that I just talked about, was mud moments. So obviously we have been through this huge, like massive global mud moment for one full year, almost one full year to the day. And so in conjunction with that mud moment, we've had our own mud moments. And in fact, like I went through a quicksand moment a couple of months ago. I mean, it's been a year for all of us, and I'm not one to dwell on negativity, but everyone has been through difficult times this year, and the resilience is very important for us to move forward and take that quality from the lotus. So the whole thing is that, are we going to stay stuck? I mean, are we going to be the victims? Are we going to dwell on the negative and the uncertainty that we certainly do face? Definitely, we have an uncertain future. It's been chaotic, political upheaval, social unrest. It's just a difficult time. So the main thing is that we need to keep refocused. And, you know, the 12-step program, the folks that are in there or have been in it, they just have that idea. I mean, it's a serenity prayer, and the one day at a time, or one of my friends that is recovered said 1 minute at a time, even sometimes when it gets so hard. So those are all good things to remember. But the whole thing is, and what I should say what I don't do, is I'm not consistent. I'll be all gung-ho, I'll get out the journal, I'll do a gratitude journal, I'll, do affirmations, I'll do everything. There's so many things that we wrote down, like music, art, reading, just distractions, anything just to get centered and get back and get some resilience. But it is hard work. It is daily work. It's tedious, but we can't complain and judge and blame others and not do the work. If we do the work, we can try to move through some of that and develop some resilience. And the whole thing, and that just goes back to basic psychology, is the being proactive versus reactive. So those are good things. But the main thing I wanted to do today was a new thing that I discovered. It's for your toolbox, along with everything else that you might do, or that helps you deal with all the stress and develop mental strength and resilience. His name is Greg Hammer, and he's a Stanford University professor from California. He just wrote a 4-step process and put out a handbook. Now, the handbook was for healthcare professionals, but he also put out a second one called Gain Without Pain, Your Happiness Handbook. And this little thing is marvelous. I mean, I got the healthcare professional one because I've been an RN for 40 years or so. But it's very interesting. The GAIN is an acronym. So GAIN is an acronym, and it's 4 core pillars for stress reduction and developing resilience and happiness. And it was only I think it was $4.99 on Kindle, so it kind of was a good deal. But anyhow, so the G stands for gratitude. And we all know about that, but in these days, we need to really dig deep for the gratitude. But it's there. It really is there. And we take such things for granted here in the United States and compared to others. So the gratitude is good. And remembering the happy times and savoring the pleasurable times that you remember. And A is for acceptance. And again, the Serenity Prayer is probably an easy way to remember that. We didn't make this pandemic. We can't magically fix it, but we're going to have to work with it and move through it and accept it. And, and open our hearts to others that are suffering and not focus so much on us and how it's affecting us. I mean, it's affecting so many, and I know we're all going through difficult times, but acceptance in general, nothing lasts forever. One of my favorite quotes, this too shall pass, and it will. It'll be a different world, but the main thrust of it will pass away, hopefully, sooner than we think. And I is for intention. And so we're all wired with a negative bias, almost each one of us. And we always go straight, our brains go straight to worst case scenarios. We do that a lot. So intention, setting an intention, a positive intention, always good. And they did all the research on neuroplasticity, and it just more and more information is coming about the brain. Even the aging brain, like my old brain, can develop new pathways. I mean, it's not like a child's, but it can happen. So that's a good thing. Number 4 is non-judgment. And that's a big one these days. And I think I was just talking to Eric about before the service. It's like, we don't have any neutral anymore. It's like, what happened to neutrality? We just go, good. Oh, that's really good. That's great. Or bad. It doesn't match our values or how we are. And that's hard. I mean, we need to just try to be non-judgmental and stop and listen for part of the conversation and just internalize it before responding. And I've got a lot of energy usually, and I will say in front of the whole community, I'm one of those people that I don't really jump like negative or positive, but I jump. I don't pull back and pause, and this was a good reminder for me too. So, and I think that's about it. But any of these little attitudes and actions, they really make a difference. And we have to take responsibility for ourselves. I mean, we're not responsible for the person that's out there doing things that we don't believe in. We can't be responsible for them. We can be responsible for ourselves and our own actions. And so the main whole thing, I think Dave or someone mentioned it, was mindfulness. I mean, we have to pay attention on purpose. Just pay attention on purpose, whatever's going on. And I think that's a good thing to remember. And the last thing I wanted to do was a little activity. And I asked if Jennifer, I think her last name's Lenders, if she was here, because I think she's a yoga person, but somebody might know. But I'm going to do my version of the lotus flower mudra. And a mudra is a hand pose, like namaste. I mean, that's what a namaste is, a mudra. So it's like that. And it's like this pose that a lot of monks use, or a lot of meditators I do when I sit, where you just kind of have your hand like this and you put your thumbs together. And so you put your hands together like this, and so this is one we see the monks walking around, or sitting and meditating. So that's another mudra, but we're going to do the lotus flower mudra. And it is just a way to bring the spirit message into your heart. It's just a wonderful way to do that, and I'll show you how to do it. I would first, just ask you to try to center yourself, because it opens your heart. The purpose of it is to open up your heart and to feel open and loving towards others, and yourself as well. But I would think of something that might be on your mind right now after listening to all the Lotus, or resilience, or something that's bothering you, or a situation that you're in the dark, or you have a shadow. It doesn't have to be full-on darkness, but like a shadow. And just think of that and try to visualize the emotion and the feeling and something that needs a little transformation. And so I would just try to center yourself and try and relax however you center yourself in any way. And put your hands together. I usually do I usually start with namaste because it's easy for me. It's just like but the principle of it is that you put your hands together. You put your hands together, press them hard up against your heart center. So, you start here. You start here with what's going on. And then I'm usually in a namaste, but then we're going to make a little bud, right? So you take your fingers, you keep your thumbs together and your pinkies together always through this whole thing. So if you can, just keep them like this in a little pancake, but you're going to open up a little bit. And then you just bring it here and, try to focus, and you just start rising your little flower up from the murky waters and from the roots and from all the muck and the mire, and you just bring him or her or it out of its place, and you just start bringing them up. And as you bring them up, you're going to open up. So you're opening up your bud. You're stretching out your fingers. And you're opening that up to the sun. And you think of all that light that's going to get it pretty soon. And you just go all the way. And you just go all the way up. And you open it and you let it rest on the surface of the water. and soak up the sun and the healing energy and anything that you need, and know that the darkness is gone. And you bring your little beautiful flower that's so bright, like vibrant and just full of life and light, and you just bring him back right to your heart center, wide open, doesn't need to close. And then you can sit there and meditate. You can do it again, you can do breathing exercises with it. There's all kinds of different ways to do it, but that's just my way. So I hope that helps. And, it's just a good little activity and helps you move from the darkness into the light. So in closing, I just want to say that I hope this message resonates, and, it helps us move like collectively from darkness to light. And always to remember that we have that still small flame that burns all the time within us. We just need to touch base with it. It's waiting for us. And just creating space for us to make more room for joy and love and peace. Blessed be. Namaste.